From the headquarters of Telesur English in Quito, Ecuador, this is From the South. I am Kijan Haynes. We begin in Haiti, where people took to the streets of Port-au-Prince to protest a fuel hike which was set to take effect from today. In the center of the city, there were several street blockades which stopped traffic on Friday. A policeman was killed during the protest. The cost of gasoline was set to go up by 49% as part of the measures taken by the government to comply with the adjustments program signed last February with the International Monetary Fund. Transport unions and social movements have called for a general strike on July 9th and 10th against the fuel prices.
I have been here since 7 in the morning. I have a wife and kids. Jovenel, look how the poor people's cars are burning. All of the products at the market are going up in price. If you go to Jamaica and come back, you will see how bad things are in the country. You must listen to the people and take your words back.
Today, Haiti is not a wild place. Today, the price of gas is rising. Today, the price of the American dollar is rising. Poor people's kids can't go to school. The price of gas is going up and the price of goods is going up. The poor people want to be able to eat. The price of rice, cooking oil, it's all going up. Jovenel is working for the imperialists. He is only for the Americans. Americans have never been for Haiti's independence. Haiti is no longer for the little people.
Now, the price hikes were soon suspended, though Prime Minister Jacques-Guy Lafontaine made the announcement on Twitter saying, quote, the government announces the suspension of the price adjustment measure for petroleum products until further notice. He condemned the violence and destruction of businesses. Now, CARICOM leaders have returned home after the 39th annual meeting in Jamaica came to a close. The group agreed on several important items on the agenda. They promised to finalize the free movement of skilled labor throughout the region with provisions for their spouses as well. A hot topic issue is how CARICOM nationals are to be treated if they refused entry at any border. There were also plans to move forward with an investment policy and incentive regime for the single market and economy, with a CSME-specific conference planned for November in Trinidad. CARICOM also moved toward closer ties with Latin America.
We underlined the need to increase trade and economic relations, and in this regard, noted the proposal of Cuba to appoint working teams to identify commercial opportunities. We also welcomed His Excellency Sebastian Pinera, President of Chile, and reaffirmed the community's commitment to strengthening relations and technical cooperation links. They also viewed the visit as an opportunity to explore the possibilities for further political dialogue and meaningful cooperation between CARICOM and Chile.
And Chilean President Sebastian Pinera held a press conference in Jamaica this morning where he outlined the future projects between Chile and the Caribbean, like free trade and disaster preparedness.
Nobody can guarantee that natural disaster will not keep coming, but we have to guarantee that when they come, we will be better prepared. And that's something we can do much better than what we are doing now. We are very interested in advancing in a free trade agreement with the CARICOM community. And that's another area which could be very helpful. And it's not only Chile, because really we think that the Pacific Alliance should reach a free trade agreement with the CARICOM community.
And Prime Minister Holness also spoke about the future of marijuana in the Caribbean, saying that the Marijuana Commission presented its report at that meeting, calling for more research into its benefits.
We therefore agreed that action is necessary at the national level by the relevant authorities to review the current status of marijuana as a Schedule I drug with a view to reclassification. We also agreed that each member state, in accordance with its own circumstances, would determine its own pathway to pursue the law reforms necessary as proposed by the Regional Marijuana Commission.
And the government of Nicaragua is having a walk for peace and national reconciliation after the violence which began in April. Maria Jose Diaz reports.
A march was planned for today for national peace and security, called by the Sandinista government, set to begin at 3 p.m. local time. The march is beginning at Plaza de las Victorias and should end at the corner of Bolivar Avenue and Chavez Avenue. However, that is yet to be confirmed. This mobilization also intends to defend the achievements of the Sandinista government, which continues calling for national peace and reconciliation amidst the protests. More walks for peace will take place around the country to promote the government's achievements, which they say are recognized by national and international organizations as well as by other governments.
Reporting from Nicaragua there. Now moving on to Colombia, the National Liberation Army, or ALN, has released a statement rejecting accusations made by the Attorney General of Colombia against the group regarding the assassination of social leaders. According to the organization, several accusations served to confuse and disperse wrong information. They lacked evidence, creating a curtain of smoke to hide those responsible for the murders. The communique also says that the state has not implemented effective actions to protect the lives of social leaders and human rights defenders. According to figures from the Ombudsman Office, 311 have been killed since the signing of the peace agreement. And social movements took to the street of Argentina demanding an increase in social plans and the development of job programs. They're calling for an immediate meeting with the Social Development Minister, Carolina Stanley.
In the face of social crisis, there haven't been enough answers from the Cambiemos Alliance for the most vulnerable workers and jobless people who are protesting in different parts of the capital.
They will take more things from us, our rights. They will damage the workers and the weakest ones, pensioners and children.
The leaders demanded an urgent change of the economic model after the increase in poverty levels.
This neoliberal capitalist growth that damages life will obviously take our jobs away. It doesn't let us think or progress.
Just a few days ago, social movements were received by the representative of the Social Development Fund, Carolina Stanley. Her propositions for a salary increase and improvements for community kitchens were considered indifferent and therefore rejected.
The different social organizations have gathered to show how these adjustments from Mauricio Macri's neoliberal government are affecting the most popular sectors.
All the measures taken benefit those who live comfortably. No one takes care of the people who seriously need help from the government.
Vulnerable groups will have to seek alternative ways to deal with the cuts to social benefits and the lack of social policies in general.
Let's take a short break now. Join us again after this look at what our multimedia colleagues are reporting. Welcome back. Home team Russia sent packing from the World Cup. Jose Daniel Lopez brings us all the highlights.
Thank you, Kijan, and welcome to our Telesur Russia 2018 special World Cup coverage. I'm Jose Daniel Lopez, and here are today's headlines. The quarterfinals came to an end today. Let's take a look at the results of today's matches. England beat Sweden 2-0 and advanced to the semifinals. Defender Harry Maguire scored a header in the first half, and midfielder Dele Alli scored the winning goal in the second half for England. Coach and players reacted after the game.
Because the collective has been so strong, and we played an opponent today whose identity is clear and whose togetherness has at times been too much for us to handle over the years, and today to come on the back of a game where we had to go to the very depths emotionally and physically in midweek and be able to give what we gave today, control the game but also withstand the physical test, was a real sign of resilience for a young team who I think are really maturing in front of our eyes.
Yeah, we always said take each game as it comes, and we know our ability, and it's all about our togetherness. So I feel like if the togetherness is still there, which it is always, we can show our ability on the pitch, and that's why we won 2-0, kept a clean sheet, and we work hard as a team.
A bit earlier, we spoke with the sports journalist Chris Scott about England's qualification to the semi-finals after they beat Sweden.
It's just been a huge party in London today. It's Pride, so there's lots of colour, lots of drinks, lots of hugging, lots of celebrations all over the capital. This has been 28 years. This has been a whole generation of England fans who have never seen the team be this successful. You know, even myself, I can't remember the last time England got to a semi-final of a World Cup. I was 1 year old. This has just been incredible. This team was not expected to do anything, and what they've done so far, and they could even go even further, but what they've done so far has just been historic.
England has one of the youngest teams of the tournament. What do you think this victory means for many players who played their first World Cup?
I think it's actually helped the squad. I think this is a team that has come into a tournament for the first time in a lot of years without any household names. No Steven Gerrard, no David Beckham, no Wayne Rooney. This is a team that's come in with no expectations. Everyone just went in just saying, try your best, boys. No one was expecting this team to do anything, and that burden of expectation has not been on the squad. That's helped them, and that's why they've been able to achieve the results they have, because they've just been playing without pressure, and it's been like kids in school. They're just playing for the fun of the game, and it's just paid dividends.
Now they're going to face Croatia in the semi-finals. Where do you think this squad needs to reach the finals?
I think just playing the way they have done. A lot of the players they're going to come up against, these are players that will have played against in the Premier League and the Champions League, such as Luka Modric and Rakitic and Dejan Lovren. These are players that they know. If they keep playing with fun, enthusiasm, like this almost childlike view of the game, they should be fine. I think England have got a squad, pace, with mental strength after what they did against Colombia, that can go past Croatia and reach the final.
And a thank you to sports journalist Chris Scott, who spoke to us from London. Visually and hearing impaired Brazilians have been enjoying in the World Cup. Our correspondent Mia Alberti brings us more in this report from Sao Paulo.
He's following the World Cup just like millions of Brazilians. He's a fan like any other, except he can't hear or see. Carlos lost his sight and hearing a few years ago, just after the 2002 World Cup. After that, he was afraid he wasn't going to be able to experience the emotion of the game ever again. But thanks to this method of interpretation, he can. On a mini football table, one interpreter gestures the movement of the players on the field, while another signals the player's number on Carlos' back.
I wanted to feel that emotion again that I felt in 2002, the last game I saw. So in the last World Cup in 2014, I had this idea. From the moment I had the tactile field, I was able to feel that same incredible emotion I felt before.
Renato has been an interpreter for more than 12 years, but just started signaling football games like these. He says it's important to include everyone in the game.
For me, the most important part is to bring that emotion to the deaf-blind, just like millions of Brazilians are feeling. From the moment he knows there was a penalty, there was fault. The ball almost didn't go in, or there was a goal. It's a way of including them, and it's a pleasure for me.
The event was organized by the Inclusion Memorial in São Paulo. Lara, a visually impaired worker at the center, says many disabled people in Brazil still lack access to this kind of help. But she says events like these help close that gap.
An activity like this allows people with disabilities to have much more access to the contents of the game. The World Cup is a very important game. It moves the whole world, and people with disabilities cannot be left out.
For many people in this center in São Paulo, it has been the first time they were able to watch and follow a game of Brazil in the World Cup. And although Brazil has not qualified to continue to the next round, it's been a dream come true for many people here. Mia Alberti, Telesur in São Paulo.
Croatia eliminated host country Russia from the World Cup in the last quarterfinal match. Denis Cheryshev and Mario Hernandez scored for Russia. Kramaric and defender Vida scored for Croatia to draw the game 2-2. Ivan Rakitic scored the winning goal during the penalty shootout. Fans in Croatia celebrated their team victory. With the quarterfinals now over, here are the top 4 teams of the tournament. France, number 7 in the FIFA ranking. The average age is 26 years old. Their star player is Antoine Griezmann with 3 goals in the tournament. Their coach is Didier Deschamps. They eliminated Argentina and Uruguay to reach the semifinals. They have 5 World Cup semifinals already. And they were World Cup champion in 1998 in France after beating Brazil. They advanced to the final in Germany 2006, losing against Italy. Belgium, 3rd position in the FIFA ranking. The average age is 27 years old. Their coach is Roberto Martinez. Their star player is Chelsea midfielder Eden Hazard. They have 12 World Cup appearances. They eliminated Japan and Brazil. And they were a semi-finalist in Mexico 1986. England, number 12 in the FIFA ranking. The average age is 26 years old. Their star player is Harry Kane. He's the top goal scorer of Russia 2018 with 6 goals. Their coach is Gareth Southgate. They eliminated Colombia and Sweden. They were FIFA World Cup champion on England in 1966, and they were a semi-finalist in Italy in 1990. Croatia, number 20 in the FIFA ranking. Their average age is 27 years old. Their star player, Real Madrid midfielder Luka Modric. Their coach, Zlatko Dalic. They have 4 World Cup participations, and they reached the semi-final in France 1998. The semifinals start on July 10th with 2 great matches. 1998 world champion France will play against Belgium, and Croatia will face England. And that's all for today's Telesur Russia 2018 headlines. Don't miss our exclusive show, De la Mano del 10, the World Cup according to Maradona. Only on Telesur English, I'm Jose Daniel Lopez. Back to you, Kitchen.
All right, let's head over to Cuba now. Santiago de Cuba hosts the 30th edition of the Caribbean Festival, or FireFest, a theatrical and cultural space that brings people together to share traditions, religion, and art.
A prayer to Elegua was part of the opening ceremony that honored Puerto Rico with the Empaca, an enchanted piece passed on to ensure the continuation of the festival.
We dedicate this special space to Puerto Rico because it's full of pride. It's also a space for one more door to exchange with the people of the Caribbean. Culture is something that does not have borders, something that does not have barriers, and it's precisely what we achieve today.
From different spots of the Céspedes Square, visitors and residents of Santiago alike enjoy the traditional snake parade that makes the start of the fire feast. Santiago becomes the place where the different traditions of the Caribbean people embrace.
It is the hotland for the Maceo, for the combatants, for
Right at the beginning, it was hard. It was very cold in the winter, and in summer it was very hot. Our roof was made with scrap material. Then later, when the woman started to resell food and things, we were able to buy material like zinc, and this allowed us to build small houses.
This territory, located between the south of Morocco and the north of Mauritania, has been fighting for its independence for many decades, first against the Spanish, then, from 1975, against Morocco, which occupied 80% of the land, the richest part in the west. Morocco and the Polisario Front, the Sahrawi government, signed a ceasefire in 1991, which should have led to a referendum on self-determination monitored by the United Nations. It has yet to be held.
With regard to the negotiations with Morocco, the recommendation is clear. It will be on the basis of a political solution that guarantees the rights of Sahrawis to self-determination. We are negotiating on this basis.
But Morocco says the territory is part of its nation, an idea of the great Morocco that awakens nationalist feelings, and it is a perfect cover for the kingdom in times of crisis.
No settlement of the Sahara affair is possible outside the framework of the full sovereignty of Morocco over its Sahara and the Autonomy Initiative, whose seriousness and credibility the international community has recognized.
Demonstrations by Sahrawi people are severely repressed by the Moroccan government, which regularly violates basic human rights. The international community has turned a blind eye to the conflict. For the U.S., there's not even a conflict to be discussed. The European Union relies on the United Nations while negotiating with the Kingdom of Morocco agreements on Sahrawi land for fishing and mining. 82 countries, almost all in Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean, do recognize the Sahrawi Republic. Some, like Cuba and Venezuela, express active solidarity.
I learned Spanish in Cuba. I went away from the camp in 1989 in the framework of agreements between the government of Cuba and the Sahara. I decided to practice medicine because I see that it is a way to save lives.
Spain, still responsible for the colony according to international law, plays no role at all, no matter which party is in government. Spanish civil society, however, remains committed to the Sahrawi cause and organizes different programs such as Holidays in Peace for Sahrawi kids to spend summers in Spain instead of the extreme temperatures of the refugee camps in Algeria. Repeated attempts by the African Union have not worked either. Morocco only accepts limited autonomy for the territory, while the Polisario Front demands the democratic right of self-determination.
Every morning we pray to return to our land. We want to be independent. We want our land, whatever we find there. Development in other countries in the world doesn't interest us. We just want to be independent.
A frozen conflict, a forgotten people as life goes on in the camps. Over 200,000 people in forced displacement, waiting for a solution that never seems to arrive.
And finally, the festival of San Fermin, better known as the Running of the Bulls, continues in Spain. One person was gored and 4 other people suffered minor injuries such as grazes after falling. All 5 were taken to the hospital for treatment. Of course, this festival attracts thousands of visitors every year, and injuries like that are naturally quite common. Ole. And that brings us to the end of this news brief. For these and many other stories, you can find them on our website at telesurtv.net/English. And join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram for Telesur English. I'm Kijan Haynes. Thank you for watching.
Hello, I'm Jorge Gestoso. Welcome to a new program. On today's show, we analyze the results of Mexico presidential elections. Our guest, John Ackerman, professor at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, known as UNAM,